You know, the Bulgarians have been around for a long time. They were once, believe it or not, one of the great empires. In the 14th, 15th century, they were under Christianity. They were the Christian church at one time. In fact, they defeated Constantinople, which was the head of the Christian empire, on 2 different occasions. And in fact, their language about 500-600 years ago was one of the major world languages. You know, there was Arabic, there was Greek, there was Latin, and there was Bulgarian. And in fact, the Bulgarians, if you think about the Slavic languages right now that are written in Cyrillic, if you think about the Cyrillic alphabet is named after the Saint Cyril. Cyrillic is Cyril, Cyrillic. Sveti Cyril, which means Saint Cyril, he was a Bulgarian monk, and he was recognizing that his people's languages weren't adequately represented by the existing alphabet. And so he and his buddy, Methodi, so there's Cyril and Methodi, they went to Lake Balaton in Hungary, I guess on vacation or something like that, because it's a totally different language. And they were in a hut for about a year, and they actually created the Cyrillic alphabet, which all of the Slavic languages to this day use. So, you know, Russian, Cyrillic alphabet, and any other language that uses the Cyrillic alphabet, they owe it to the Bulgarians. And so they were once one of the most powerful nations in terms of Christianity, and also in terms of language. Now, what happened to the Bulgarians? You guys are probably wondering. Well, like a lot of great nations, a lot of great empires, they had internal strife, they had internal fighting, and due to that, they broke down from an interior basis, and the Turks, who were their neighbors in the south, invaded them. The Turkish Empire, very, very powerful empire. They nearly sacked all of Europe. But anyway, they conquered Bulgaria, and for about 500 years, the Bulgarians were under the oppression, let's call it a spade, of the Turkish Empire. And in fact, one of the great tomes of Bulgarian literature written by Ivan Vasov called Pot Igoto, Under the Yoke. If you think of, you know, a yoke, it's put on top of a horse or an oxen to plow. And Pot Igoto means they were under the yoke. They were basically slaves, and their culture was limited, their religion was limited, and they survived 5 years, and their monks went to the mountains and preserved their language and their literature and their religious tradition. And the Bulgarians were liberated in 1878 by the Russians, who they consider their brethren, their Slavic brethren. And I think like about 100,000 Russian soldiers were lost liberating the Bulgarians. And that actually subsided the tide of the whole Turkish Empire, because, you know, the Turks actually reached Vienna, almost conquered all of Europe. And the Bulgarians, in concert with the Russians, really inspired Europe to redefine themselves and push off the Turkish Empire. Now, I'm sure that your historians would have a lot of different aspects and variations on the facts and circumstances, but really at the cusp of this liberation, you know, this was one of the high points of the scientific revolutions and the cultural revolutions in Europe. And so, you know, the Bulgarians really participated in that. And so their liberation from the Turks and what they went through was a metaphor of duration and persistence.